Hey everyone, welcome to the Prepper Jack official channel. I've been sick for the last few days, so I haven't really been putting out content the way I would hope to. I decided to go ahead and just do a reclining on the couch video, just to kind of talk, chit chat, so I didn't have to put a lot of work into the video. Didn't feel too motivated to. I'm still gonna have to go work a 10-hour shift tonight, so this is low quality production as it gets for me. Uh, Even though I'm nothing exceptional at the first place. I just wanted to kind of discuss topics nowadays. There's uh there's some series and stuff that I really would like to do with the channel. This is a bit more of like a just kind of shooting the crap with you video. Uh, if it's not your type of content, no problems, man. Click off, find something a little more interesting. Really, I just wanted to kind of discuss some of the things, some of the outlooks on the future for the page. Uh, Also, I was really thinking maybe we could discuss a little bit of just the things that are going on nowadays and my views, maybe some of my opinions on how we should look into the future with, I think, the right mindset. The idea of we need to be prepping, we need to move forward. My growth video addressed most of my very, very current concerns. That is going to end up being a series, the most important prep. Uh, it's not one answer. There is not one prep that is the most important. It's really a continuum. All preps have an importance level, and some of them will be more important at a different time depending on where you're at in your own game. I just wanted to kind of take today and do like a kicking it on the couch kind of video. Maybe we'll turn this into a series at some point, but for right now, it's just I'm sick, so I don't really feel up to putting in the hard work. Um, One of the things that's been concerning me lately, I have children. I have not newborn baby. She's 7 months now, but I have different insights into what sort of things do I need to do to prep and prepare for a small child, because most of my prepping has been done as a single man. And so it was very oriented towards tools and gear, food and water, just really a lot of the basics. And then the fine intricacies of nice tasting, ready meals, stuff that are like Augustin food, some of the Mountain House little baggy ones. A lot of the things that I used to prep, while they're super, super important, it's like your baseline, they work very, very well for a man and a single man at that. But a lot of the preps needed for children, it's a whole different ball game. Just thinking about the clothes is probably the hardest thing for me because children grow so fast, and it makes it very difficult to have an idea of what do I stockpile that will leave me enough room to be able to prep everything I need. Because for me, it was quite simple. It's, fill up 3 totes full of pants, shirts, socks, underwear, and I've got most of my basics squared away. Then I have quite a few jackets and sweatshirts on top of that with gloves and hats, and man, we're good to go. And I don't change sizes enough as it is. I've stayed a pretty consistent large, extra large size most of my adult life. Whereas children, they move so quickly through the different sizes, it's a bit more difficult to prepare clothing options for them because you're really stuck in a complex situation of how fast will my kid grow compared to the weather of clothing that I need to prepare for them. So one insight that I could give some that don't have children yet or expecting, or maybe they've never looked at their children in the prepared aspect, children need to have clothes, and the easiest way to prepare clothes for almost any weather situation is to get warm weather clothes with layers. So you can get things of undergarments and then stack on top of that layers of t-shirt, long sleeve, and then get jackets. And that gives you kind of a layering system where it may not be the cutest outfits, and your wives and girlfriends, they may not agree with those outfits because they're not so cute. But when you put it to them, and this is another thing, is try to get them into the preparedness mindset. But let's say that you're someone who doesn't have a wife who's in that preparedness mindset with you. At least tell them that, like, hey, look, you know that I'm a prepper, or you should have told them that. And because I'm a prepper and I prepare for things, I want my child to have clothes that can be readily available for them in any situation. And most scenarios, we'll get into the theology of this later on, not in this video, but most scenarios should be bug in. Most scenarios. There's bug outs. Trust me, there is scenarios that are bug out. Those we can address in later videos. Let's just, for now, stick with the concept of most scenarios are bug in scenarios. So talk to your significant other. Tell them, look, I just want a tote out in the garage or the shop or the shed, whatever works for you best. Take a tote and layer those things up for the different sizes between like the 6 month to the 6 to 9 month. If you need newborn clothes, those are going to be an interesting one because they move through those pretty quick. That's a little bit tougher one. Prepare those. If you're going to have multiple kids, prepare them in a sense of like having them and keeping them for the next kid. Even if they have blowouts and stuff, man, get out the stain spray, blast them suckers down, and don't freaking waste clothes. Throwing them away just because they got stained. Like, dude, by the time you hit your 10th blowout and the clothes are soaked in some nasty, you're going to be able to get through it in a different way. It's not like the first time you hit a blowout and you're like, my God, this mess is overwhelming and the stench is horrible. By the 10th time, you're like, you know what? This is my baby and I'm willing to struggle through this little bit of terrible smell and mess so that my baby can be cleaned and put back into a new outfit. Sorry, sidetrack altogether. You should be focusing on trying to get those clothes set up in a way that you can prepare for those, but that's a harder thing to do with the newborns. The later years are the ones that makes it a little bit easier, because like I said, you do it in kind of a layering system. Don't buy all really thin clothes for summer and all really thick hot clothes for winter. Get a lot of in-between layers, because you can make the thin layers and medium layers go for hot layers. So in the wintertime, they may be wearing technically 2 or 3 different outfits worth of clothes, but it gets that layering system. Same way you'd probably do in like a hiking situation or going out camping. You'd try to pack layers because you need to control that baby's temperature. Their body's not as good as it is us adults. And that's a consideration that I have personally, because I didn't deal with children in my original prepping plan. So this is an update from me, is preparing for children. And it's pretty difficult if your significant other is perfectly okay with the prepping situation, but they may not be as bought in as you are, where prepping is kind of it's a side thing for them. Like, sometimes they'll pick up a little extra something and they're like, here's some prep supplies. And you're like, man, this is awesome. Like, you got a little piece of this. And as long as I can keep you invested, the more that we're going to move forward in our prep plan. But they may not be whole hog like you are. Just getting them to the point where they're okay with you prepping on a regular is a huge monument thing. Because a lot of women really just, well, not just women, but a lot of partners don't see the value in preparing for things because maybe they haven't struggled. Now, I was blessed. I was blessed with a woman who, like myself, went through a couple of time frames where they were homeless. And we can get into that later on, background stories. But for now, let's just say she came from nothing in a few times in her life. And that made her understand the utility in having things for when life takes a bad downturn. because stuff happens, man. You could lose your job tomorrow, and maybe it's not too easy for you to find a job right off the rip. I mean, nowadays you should be able to get a Walmart or a McDonald's job to lay you over till you get your next job. But man, if that's just not even cutting the bills, because say rent is absolutely burying you, then you might be in a situation where it's like, okay, we're barely going to make rent this month, but because we've prepared, we've got a stockpile of food laying around in every freaking corner of this house. Looks like we're eating just stockpile foods and not replacing it. We don't have the money to replace it, but we've stockpiled long enough that we actually have a supply. And these are just considerations. Remember, we're doing just a couch talk today, so this video is not really directed at any topic. I'm just kind of shooting the crap with you guys. And as you go along through this video, if you have a thought, man, slap a comment down there. Let me know what you think. Put a timestamp if you can too, so I can watch back through. Because this is not a guided talk. I don't have a script or anything. I'm just chatting with you, man. And I like to see other people do this a little more often. Some do, but I'd like to see people where they just discuss their thought process, because sometimes it helps you dive into the mind of where they're coming from. So that's what I'm doing with you today. I'm just trying to level with you and be real. One of the things that really it's been a highlight for me is seeing that my self dedication to prepping has been insignificant in preparing for anyone else other than men just like me. I never packed away tampons, pads, none of that stuff. So I am light on the women's supplies and the feminine hygiene. And I've discussed it with my wife, my soon-to-be wife, on how many times we need to go down to the store and pick her up supplies. And it's hard to drive that point home because she sees it more of a lens of when she needs it, she's going to go get it. And I've tried to push that narrative hard, but we also aren't very financially wealthy people. We make all of our bills and have money left over, so we're doing good. But really, we have a lot of costs that just, man, it's like creature comfort stuff that I've trimmed more out of because, you know, I'm a guy and I'm a numbers money type guy. So to me, going out to eat, it's not appealing to me anymore. Even though I love to eat, go get food, I just can't. The numbers doesn't sound right to me. Fast food doesn't even make sense to me if it's not 4 a.m. in the morning and nothing else is open. I can't see going to a fast food restaurant rather than going to a sit-down restaurant. You're going to pay virtually the same exact amount of money for a sit-down restaurant and get like 10 times the food plus another 2 or 3 times the quality of the food. But with the female side of things, and I'm sure, you know, some of you guys can level with this. Some of you guys, it might be the opposite. Maybe you're the big spender and you're constantly going to restaurants and she's the one trying to save. What I would say in that situation is, man, look at the price. Maybe you're not a numbers driven guy, but really look at the price and then just try to prepare a normal, yummy, satisfying meal for yourself at home. It is crazy what you spend. You can get a crock pot full of like 4, 5, 6, 7 meals for the price of one big sit-down dinner with everybody at a restaurant. And sometimes way more value than that. Sometimes it's $15, $20 to put together a whole crock pot full of delicious vegetables and one type of meat, and everybody's satisfied. Especially if you're pretty good on your seasoning game, because man, a stew or a soup, delicious. The flavor is kind of uncomparable because it fills you up, tastes good, and it was cheap. Just sit back and look at those numbers, man. It changes your perspective if it hasn't already done that. And if it has, then I'm not really speaking to you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been there, you've seen that. And that money, if you can take a chisel and cut out just that little bit of overspending on food and put that back into your preps, dude, you're ahead. You're way ahead because you can turn what is probably 30 to 60, 70, $100 a month into preps. Brother, that's a lot of preps, especially if you're talking just dry stock food. You know, maybe you don't need Augustin Farms. I love Augustin Farms stuff because I prefer really, really long, shelf stable, freeze dried food that doesn't taste like just beans and rice. Because lucky enough for me, my wife, she is a cook. She's got tons of cookbooks and makes delicious food. So she can take 4 or 5 bags of beans, a bag of rice, and a handful of seasonings and turn it into something that's delicious. So I got blessed in that way. But I'll tell you what, man, you eat a whole month of beans and rice, and your stomach just is kicking at you like a mule. It is a hard thing to just persist off of that food. And it's not impossible. I mean, a tough guy can just go, who cares, a little bit of some gastrointestinal stuff. Maybe they don't have like any sort of IBS or colon problems, none of that. So maybe to another guy, it's like, hell, I can eat freaking concrete and walk away from it like it's not a big deal. My father's a great example of that. Old school, raised poor type of guy, born in the 60s. And he is a tough dude. Like, my God, the stuff he can eat, I swear, would make a billy goat sick. He eats stuff that is beyond the expiration date, literally would give me the funky guts for like a day at least, and he'll hack it down. So some guys out there, really, it doesn't matter what the hell they prep. They'll eat it all and literally it won't affect them. Me, I was homeless for a while, so I can physically eat damn near anything. There's not much out there that I won't eat, but how it makes me feel, that's a big difference. Because I have, modern millennial guts. I grew up on Doritos and crap food, so my guts are hammered. My dad, I was a single father son, so my dad did his best to work as a self-employed contractor and still make food for me, but it just doesn't work out that way. Especially with a dad who was on the lazier side for a self-contractor because his body was giving out on him. He would make meals that were delicious too, man. Some stuff like biscuits and gravy, man. There's very few, and maybe it's a bias thing, but there's very few people that have ever made biscuits and gravy that taste as good as my dad's. And I keep learning the recipe from him, and I shit you not, I stop doing it, and I forget the freaking recipe, and I'm wondering in my head, it's like, dude, is it so unimportant to me that I keep forgetting this recipe? I can remember the most goofy, asinine stuff, and I only seen it once. But a meal that I've cherished and enjoyed since my childhood, I can't remember the damn thing, even though I dutifully tried to remember it. It's just bizarre to me. Anywho, that's a sidetrack. One of the other things that goes along with that food mindset and trying to prep for others is you really need to discuss with your family, what are they willing to eat? Because I'll eat damn near anything. My wife will eat pretty wide variety, but we have an autistic son. He's my stepson, but eventually when we get married, he's my son. I'm taking that on because he's going to be my boy. I got to raise him like he is my own, or what kind of father am I? But he's autistic. So it's like, dude, his palate is small. He eats very, very minimal variety of fruit. He'll eat chicken nuggets and chicken strips. That's his bread and butter. And French fries. Those are the ones that he is like, doesn't matter the time. You make anything chicken strip, chicken nugget, and French fries, he'll eventually polish it off. The French fries he goes for crazy. And as an Irish boy, love it. Anything potatoes. So to me, I have to start thinking my preps in a different mindset. Like, I've prepped away a pretty rationable amount of like freeze-dried potatoes and hash browns and stuff. But the problem for me is I have to think of things in like, how do I duplicate in a whatever shift scenario we want to go through? How do I plan it out so we can make him a set of chicken nuggets and not just, scrimp together chicken nuggets? Because he's picky enough that certain chicken nuggets he won't eat off the plate. You buy the wrong freaking brand. I mean, he's got maybe a good 10, 12 brands in his arsenal that he will eat through. But you buy some off the wall weird brand that's kind of gummy and weird and the skin falls right off of it, brother won't even do it. He won't. And you got to cook him crispy enough, but not too crispy. He's a picky little dude. And part of the thing is because of his autism and being on the spectrum, you can't think of him like a normal kid in the same way. You do have to specially and specifically prepare a plan for him that you wouldn't plan for other kids. One of the things that's been hard about that is I have some preps already prepared, but from a logistics standpoint, at this point in my life, somehow, and we've got big goals, so nowhere near now does it seem like we will get a freeze dryer, but I really, really need one to prepare for him. There's no two ways about it. The best solution that I can possibly think of in my current situation of how to prepare for an autistic child is to get a freeze dryer. I can't think of anything else. Jarring and canning, that is another option. But the problem is I work 60-hour weeks or 50-hour weeks if I don't work Saturdays. And it is so impossible for me to try and help keep up the house, especially because my wife, she works a full/part-time job where most of the time she's banking 40 hours a week. So she's dealing with the kids. She's driving about 30 miles a day to take him to a specialized autistic school. I mean, man, our family life is damn near chaos on a day in, day out basis. And somehow we have to keep up with the house. And we do a good job because she really won't deal with much else. She will be on my ass like stink on, sorry for the language. She will be on me. She will be on me about stuff because she sees a disorganized, chaotic house that's dirty and it just cuts her through because she doesn't want to live that way. And I'm a man, so it's like I love living in a clean house. It makes me feel good. But I can live in a dirty house. I mean, God, with the way my family is, I can definitely survive a dirty house without really thinking much about it. But the clean house thing, the peace of mind that it gives you to like, hell, even in the scenario of like, hey, let's have some friends over. And it's not like hey, we need to beat my friends to the house for an hour because we got to hurry up and clean the house real quick so they can come over and it doesn't look too bad. I don't even like the thought of that. There was a time in my life living with a single father, man, nobody could come over ever. And the people that came over, they had to be close friends. They had to know us and know it was just disaster in that house because it was a bachelor and a bachelor's child. So it was like a freaking college hell house in that place. And I don't look back on that place with fond memories at all. Somebody coming over was chaos. It just cut you through because it made you feel low. Whereas now I live with a woman that wants to keep a nice and tidy house. And it feels good. So I'm willing to make those sacrifices even though I'm hitting 60-hour weeks, sometimes back to back. My job's actually really busy right now, so we've been pulling back-to-back 60-hour weeks regular. And this is like full leather suit, air supplied, respirated hood while I'm welding for 60 hours. Well, welding for probably about 40 plus hours of it. It's like I'm busy slammed the whole time, so I'm cooking hot. It's that disaster to go to a day-to-day lifestyle in that place. It burns you out, man, because you're cooking all day long, just welding out. And we weld with a really hot welding process. It's a dual shield flux core 330 seconds, and that's just for the welder guys. Don't worry too much about that. Um, while we're sitting there cooking plates, because we set up I-beams for big industrial stuff, we basically build all the little stuff onto an I-beam so they can send it out. And there's more nuance with that. But basically, we help build the erector sets so people can build buildings like skyscrapers or just your general hospital, school, things of that nature. So I'm welding on like heavy industry stuff all day, and I'll still carve out a small amount of time, as long as I'm not sick like I am right now. I'll carve out a small amount of time out of those days to try and get something done. Even if it's as simple as she loads up the dishwasher, and this is an agreement that her and I discussed. She will rinse and wash the dishes, put them in the dishes and put them in the dishwasher. I will then unpack the dishwasher and the cleaning rack and put them away. And we've had a couple of times where I wasn't so diligent at that. So there's been times where it's like, hey man, I'm washing all these dishes. Please pick up the slack. She said it with a little less kindly words. She's my little Latina fire girl, so she's she's spicy with the words, but she's a good woman, good mom, takes care of the house, cooks like nobody I've ever ate from. But I don't gotta talk her up all day long. She's my wife, not yours. Sorry, I love her. The thing about it is working those kinds of hours and still coming home and cleaning up and picking up and doing those types of things. It's changed my attitude on how do I find time for the things that are necessary, and jarring and canning and trying to prepare things for someone like an autistic child. How do I can and jar chicken nuggets? Well, you'd can and jar the raw materials, obviously. That's about the best answer you can get to is you need to prepare chicken. That's a tough thing to do. I haven't done it, and I've seen videos on it. Man, you really need to be careful with canning and jarring. Most of you have heard botulism. If you improperly prepare food in a jarring or canning situation, you may just kill yourself or someone else in a horrible fashion. That is no way to go. Botulism sounds terrifying. That sounds like a miserable, painful, horrible death. And I would never be able to live down if I screwed something up like that for him and I killed him because of my negligence. So it's something that I don't want to jump into half-ass. I don't like half-assing anything. It's just not really who I am as a person. I have like that, most people call it autistic thing, where I jump into stuff full ass for like a month, and then I jump onto the next thing. Some people say that's autism. I'm from a different generation. I'm more old school. My generation calls everything autism. I learned from the generation before me that it's like, man, when you slap a label on every little thing that you do that's not great, suddenly you give yourself like an excuse to be okay with that. And to me, it's like, yeah, okay, maybe it is autism, right? But why should I ever give myself an out just because it may be autism? Not a big deal. I don't really look at it in the same sense. My sense is like, it's a character flaw, but it's a big help too, because when I jump in on something, dude, I go full dive. All the research, all the tools, all the parts, I get in on it. It is everything to me in that moment. The downside is if I don't commit to doing something long term, I can let things fall by the wayside time and time and time again. And maybe some of you are the same way. And my thing to you is like, man, address that. Tell yourself, if it's important, I'm not going to let it go by the wayside. I'm not going to jump onto a new hyper fixation for a while. I'm going to keep with it. I'm going to force myself, even if I'm working 60-hour weeks, I'm going to jump in on it and I'm going to keep it going. I'm not going to just let it teeter off and fix itself. In that same vein, and this is a word for me as much as it is for everybody else. It's, you got to start somewhere, right? But because of that whole, I'm so freaking busy that I'm scared to jump into canning half-ass, sometimes you shouldn't look at it the way I am with that I'm half-assing it mindset. Sometimes maybe you need to look at it as I'm beginning, and it's okay to make mistakes. This is a personal flaw for me that I suffer with, is you can make mistakes and it's time to start now. The time is now. Don't wait till next week. Don't tell you can do it later. The time is now, because I very regularly talk myself out of doing something for years before I finally get on it, because I keep telling myself, I'll do it tomorrow. It's like this YouTube page. I have planned on doing YouTube videos and trying to share my construction knowledge, my years of prepping knowledge. I worked in the gun industry, so I have a pretty good knowledge on the things that you should be addressing when you go to the gun store. I personally worked for over 2 years at a gun store. And not only did I learn from just the people coming in, but the guys that were industry insiders. We had techs coming out all the time that were repping brands. There was discussions on like, what brands and what are we seeing happening with those brands? What brands are breaking down? Which ones are oversold, overhyped? Which ones are way not worth the money? Which ones are pretty good value, but just questionable quality? Man, I used to be a guy that was like, if you could get a Taurus G2C, a Taurus G3, get it. Get it, go, shoot it up and go. And what I would say is, I haven't deviated from that mindset. I still do believe if only thing you can afford is a $150, $200 gun and 2 or 3 boxes of ammo, that's where you cap out at. You only have $300, $400 accessible to you for a gun. Maybe that's your option, because I'll tell you, any gun is better than absolutely zero gun. The problem I have is too many guys get that mindset of, I can do it with a cheaper gun. And they'll have 20, 30, 40, 50, 150, $200 guns. I have plenty of people I personally know, and I won't bring up their name because there's no reason to address that. They can live their own life they want. But my advice is always, stop buying cheap guns. You don't need to buy only cheap guns. If you buy a couple of cheap guns to get you going, good. But you need to get reliable, man. Buying every $150, $200, $300 cheap auction gun that you found that somebody beat and clapped the hell out of, it's not the best buy. I've seen plenty of malfunctions, and I'm, sample size of 1. When I talk to the people that have been in the industry and have shot millions of rounds in their entire lifetime, and they've seen people on the range running these dog shit clap beater guns, and they see the insane catastrophic malfunctions these guns can go through, it brings way too much to the argument of mid-tier's fine. If you spend $500, $600 for a handgun, pretty good frame. Now there's options out there, there's Glocks. I'm a huge CZ fan, Cannot say enough good things about the company because they make great products. If you can get a $400 gun that is a reliable, well-built, well-designed gun and runs, awesome. That's way better, way, way better. But you need to be able to buy ammo. Man, if you cannot afford to buy 300 rounds of ammo to go shoot at the range, you're in a bad spot, man. You need to start buying box by box by box and get a stockpile going, because you've got to get it up. You got to get it up to at least like 500 rounds of like handgun ammo. Handgun ammo is very important because it goes fast when you're trying to practice, I'd suggest that you get training. Really would suggest it. But maybe your schedule doesn't really allow for you to be able to put in a training course. Maybe you've got a whole family and you work a full-time job. You really don't have a whole lot of time for training because taking a day off just not really much of an option. You can take a day off if you're sick, but the whole house goes into pure chaos because you're sick. For those guys, I would say a family activity of going to the range, teaching children how to shoot 22s, things like that. And in a future video, that actually, that reminds me, I'm going to do a future video of like options that I have because I've got some guns and I'm going to show you guys some of my cool ones. I'll show you guys a lot more of my practical ones because I don't really like showing everything I have. And is what it is, you know. I decided to step in the sphere of showing people, so I put a target on my back. I understand that. I have contingencies in place, and I am not a soft target. You know, as calm, cool, and collected and gentle as some people seem to see me as, the people who have seen me when I'm in an anger or heat, they're terrified of me. They are absolutely terrified. But that's, man, total different discussion. We're not talking about stupid stuff right now. Considerations on that. I've been in a lot of different industries and a lot of different information. So going back to what I was originally saying, get started. Like starting this YouTube page, it's something that to me was important because I want to do this. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I always kept pushing it off one step further, one day longer, a week from now, a month from now, and I never got going. So we're playing catch up now. And then I get hit by sickness almost as soon as I start this YouTube page. I get drilled by a sickness and I'm working 60-hour weeks. It's like the whole world always seems like it's against you when you're busy. But if you are able to navigate being busy, you can make it, man. Life is difficult and it really doesn't ever tend to get that much easier. Life just kind of seems to have a way of staying hard all the time. But what gets you through these hard times and all the difficult things that are to come, it's really you hardening yourself. The more contingency plans you have set out for all these different things that can come up, it relieves the pressure. You know, life is like this wide open, full pressure go. And sometimes your restriction down the line from what life is piping into your life is too much pressure. So if you set these contingencies, it's like you're setting adapters all the way along the line and reducing that flow down to when it reaches you, an acceptable pressure that's not going to blow your whole entire line and destroy your life. Get started. Whatever it is that you know, because you know personally, what's the thing that you need to be working on right now? What is it? And are you going to say, I'll do it tomorrow? Tomorrow is never going to get here. It never does. Tomorrow becomes today tomorrow. You need to be ready for today, right now. Don't wait. And this is a word for me, way more than it is for you. But I think you can learn from the same thing I could. Just don't wait around. Stop procrastinating. Even if you're someone who's good about that, you don't procrastinate. When your shit gets done, it gets done today. Even if you are that person, maybe there's something that's on the back burner because you're taking care of today. Slide it in. It might really be time. Maybe you've just had a goal or you've had a dream. Maybe you've had a dream. Man, that's a hard one for especially guys that are really, really busy men and life is life. You've probably put the dream on the back burner. And what I want to say is, I'm not a very old man. I'm 31. But I started working construction when I was a young child. I was about 6 years old when I started actually carrying tools and supplies for my father and helping him put things together. I really didn't start digging and working hard till I was 8. But my whole life has been work. I have done nothing but work. We never went camping or did any of the fun stuff when I was a kid. More than a handful of times, maybe 2 handfuls altogether. And it's like I've been trying to play catch up for all the things that I wanted to do, all the dreams that I had since I was a kid. Man, it's too late to not get started. If you've got a dream, you got to jump on it, brother. Ladies, maybe you're struggling with the same thing, but to me, it usually seems like women are a little better about, they know how to get their dreams a little bit more accomplished. And I think maybe that's something to talk about society on a different note. But men, like, waiting to get on your dreams, it's too long. Get it started now. Do small things. And again, this is me starting something that I've always wanted to do. I want to discuss these things because I'm not perfect. Man, you have no idea how much more stuff I need to learn. But I know a lot. I do know a lot. And I have information that maybe it could lend itself to somebody who knows way more than I do. And maybe they haven't looked at life in the same ideas that I have. And when I talk to people about prepping, the average person really does not understand the basics. And what's interesting is there's a YouTube page. Like any of you that's seen my page almost has to have seen his page, Bear Independent. I came across his page, and I don't remember how. I think it was back when I was a little bit newer to firearms before I got in the industry. And I think I was looking up 22 videos. And I came across his old 22 for prepping or 22 for bug out or something like that. And man, it was like everything I ever felt about 22s as like a survivalist rifle and everything. Man, he addressed it all. And it was like, wow, this guy is like very rational. I like his page. He's not a bullshitter. He is someone who's very straight. And what blew my mind away is this is a guy who deploys to natural disaster zones. He takes a team and equipment and he goes and rescues people and provides them life again in a natural disaster. So to me, it was like, dude, the heart on this man, he's rough around the edges when you talk and see and look at him. I get that part because he's a hard dude. But when you see his heart towards people, it's like, man, you can't really ask for someone who's more real because he gets it done. And he talks about the food and water necessities for just deploying, like going out here and you're feeding people who are working hard all day, feeding them and giving them enough water so they can sustain through a hard labor day. He addressed and quantified, he gave it a real number to how much it takes to keep someone working hard day in, day out. And as someone who has my whole life been a construction worker's kid, I can tell you it takes a lot. Food, you can hammer it down. And water, you can drink yourself into oblivion and it still feels like it's not enough. Really, if you are working hard, not just, I'm every once in a while whacking something with a hammer. I mean, you are nonstop, 10 hours straight working, you will feel tired. It is a level of tired. And if you're not hydrated enough, 10x that tired. You are way more tired if you're not up to scratch. And he quantified something that it's always been my position of people really don't understand how much food and how much water you're going to need. Because if it's grid down, bug out, weather storm is everywhere, stuff's going sideways, Russian paratroopers are sliding in and it's, freaking hell on wheels everywhere. You're not just going to be kicking back on the couch. Like, stuff's going to be getting done. You might need to weather seal your door so freaking rainstorms don't come rushing underneath the door. You might need to patch your windows so if somebody busts the bitches out, you're not freaking exposed. I have constantly had a feeling that many people in the prepper community don't look at things in the perfect light. And perfect not as in the sense of like actually perfect, but they're not looking at it through a realistic perspective. They look at too many things like movies, video games, and I'm a victim of that. Like when I was like 16 years old, my first preps 2 years in a row back to back was buying myself a machete. That was my zombie apocalypse prep item. And that's where it kicked off. When I was 16 years old, my prepping life began. I was an idiot, total freaking idiot. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I was buying all the wrong stuff because I was a dumbass and I was young. But that's where it began. The seed began and it was sown then. And from there, we got to where we are today. And you'll see more, like, I'm never going to show you everything I got, but I'm going to show you guys some stuff because I want you guys to be at least on my level. Like, I would never, if it was like a 1 out of 10 for like, where am I at as a prepper? I'd put myself at probably about a 5.5, 6. But my 5.5 and the 6 compared to the average person's like -12, I'm looking good. And one of the things that helps is I was a firearms guy. So I learned defense in that sense. I know how to shoot very well. I've practiced shooting on the move a bit. I'm not the most fluid with the trek and the stance and, you know, keeping the fluid so I'm not jugging my shoulders and my knees are staying with a nice flow. I'm not the best at that. I can hit a moving target while I'm moving, pretty decent. Body silhouette all day. But if I had to hit a guy's little picture of his head sticking around a corner while I was moving, be tough. I could probably do it, but it might take multiple shots to get that little tiny needle threaded. I would say my capabilities as a shooter, way above the average, And I'm still a pathetic shooter. You compare me to the boys that are like hardcore train all the time. They've done all the classes, all the lessons. They shoot thousands of rounds every time they go to the range. They shoot circles around me. I mean, I've shot with some dudes that are wow, especially going to the competitions. I mean, I went to a competition with, I think it was about 60 shooters, maybe, and it's been a few years since I did it. And I placed like 30th, and everyone there was like, dude, for your first shoot, you're lucky you didn't DQ out. Like, you should just be happy you finished. And then when the results came out and I was 30th, they were like, man, that's impressive. And I'm looking at it like 30th. Like, I've been a sports guy and competitive my whole life. 30th out of 60 sounds like I'm middle of the pack. But the reality was, it's like the difference between 60th and 30th was like that. It was like seconds of difference. But the gap between 30th and first was a lot. It was a lot. Like, first place hammered it. Man, he was fast. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth, all wicked fast. Blazing guns. And that brought a perspective to me. It's like, you know, I have reasonable skills as a shooter, but maybe I don't need to be on a competitive level, because realistically, like, suppressing fire is what wins the fight. Suppressing fire and movement, that's what wins prolonged gun battles. Now, like, granted, winning the fight could just mean that the other guy got a lucky shot because he freaking spun whipped some shots up over the top of a barricade and he caught you. He caught you slipping. It can happen. I mean, keeping yourself in a nice cant so you're less silhouette, having good cover and concealment, those things make a difference. But anybody can get a lucky shot. That's why suppressing fire is such an important thing. And it made me realize it's like, man, at that time I was more of a lone wolf minded guy. It was like I had some dudes in my community but they were spread out so far between the more metropolitan type area that I live in. And I'm a little more suburban now, but man, I still want to get like out in the backwood nowhere. Those are future goals we can discuss later on. But I realized it was like, man, if I just had like 10 dudes close by, squared away, we could easily take on position number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 10 by themselves. We'd smoke them. I mean, 10 on 1, you really don't have to have a huge level of capabilities. So overwhelming firepower actually makes more sense than being insanely squared away. And it started to bring me more of a realization that it's like, community is so important. And it's something that personally I lack horrifically. I have dudes that I could call on, but man, if it was grid down, none of them are squared away in the same ways I am. I may not be as squared away in the ways they are. I don't know what they have. We haven't really got in the nitty gritty other than a few of them I call close friends. It's amazing to me that the longer you're in this game, the more your ideas change. And usually it's for the better. Usually. I haven't really seen anybody who it's like, they're 5 years into prepping and they got worse. That really doesn't happen unless they let something else screw them over. Like they lost their job and never got a new job. So they just had to burn through every prep they had. That would be like the outlier. Most people, it's like, you start, you get going and you're like, this is tough. Okay, I don't have a lot. Every time I look at everybody else, they've got way more than I do. I feel kind of insignificant. But then you get to like that 1 year mark and you've got some good preps going. And suddenly it's like, okay, yeah, well, no, when I look at me compared to some guy I work with, they got nothing. I got something. I got 3 months now. If you hit that landmark, it's like the feedback you get, the dopamine, it was worth the fight every way. So I don't know. I don't want to drag this talk out too long because I'm long-winded. I could go for hours on this stuff. But this has just been kind of like, just a pick in the mind of me in case, maybe some of you want to get to know me better. Maybe we'll do a little bit more of these sit down couch discussions. And if you got a cool name for it, cool. Let's make a playlist for this. And you can just get to know me. And it can be like kicking it on the couch kind of thing. I want to talk and discuss. I want to outreach. I want a community with people. And I want to bring my knowledge to everyone else. Because something that I've learned is probably not something you've learned. And maybe it is. Maybe you've learned more about it than I have. Good. I'd love to hear it. Maybe you have a page. Do you have a page where you've shared those experiences? Send me a link, dude. I want to communicate with people and link in and build a community. Not just so I can have dudes that I can call on and we can go bang nods in the middle of the night. That's not exactly what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is I'm a United States of American citizen, but I don't want just Americans to be prepared. I want everybody to be prepared. And I think the more you struggle through the preparedness game, just the more humbling it'll be for you and a little bit better of a person you'll emerge from it. I think that if you take a rational look at where can I be in my preparedness game, it'll improve you. So this is a sit-down discussion. There's so many ways we can go with all these different things. I will be putting out more content. I'm recovering now, and in between days of work, I'm going to see if I can't swirl together some shorter term videos. But I wanted to put out a long-term one, so maybe we could get some talks going, and maybe there's some things you'd like to see. Let me leave you with this. I have a lot of different skill sets. I'm a welder. by trade, this is something I've went to school for. So I'm a welder by trade. That's something that maybe none of you guys have seen or heard about or learned about. What kind of things can that translate from? Well, there's a small amount of blueprint reading and stuff that goes along with welding. I'm a carpenter. I do some woodworking, so I'm not well versed. I haven't framed a whole house or done those sorts of things. Most of what I did was small time repair with my dad. So I have skills in construction. I've done lots of landscaping. We've put in a lot of sprinkler systems, installed a lot of fences, laid down a good amount of some sod on top of that. I've been a firearms not expert. I've been a firearms enthusiast who was in the group. So consider those things. Man, there's so much more, but I have trades and I'd love to share those with you. All those considerations, this was a coffee talk, Thanks for stopping by. If you like content like this, give me a like, please. Go ahead, and if you want to share this with somebody else to get a discussion going, awesome, share it. Subscribe to the page if you like content and you want to see more coming out and you'd just like to help me out in that way. And below, leave any comments, concerns, anything you'd like to see. And all in all, I'd just like to thank you for watching and sticking with it for this long. Have a great day.